Hello, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time I decide I'll just go camping. There's not going to be too much to miss out on. And lo and behold, there's a lot of information to talk about. We've got potential listings for Transformers figures coming out in 2026 and possibly 2027 for Age of the Primes, Studio Series, CyberWorld, timelines, exclusives, a whole bunch of stuff, and I can't believe all the information that's coming out. We're going to go through the entire thing, but I want to start off by saying it seems like the Cybertron line that was going to be a Walmart exclusive series for the Transformers Age of the Prime series, kind of like what they did with the Legacy line, where it's typically 4 or 5 Deluxes, a Voyager or 2, and a Leader class toy. It seems like that's not happening. It seems like all we're getting is Excellion and Sideways, which I'm glad that we're getting Excellion and Sideways. I actually pre-ordered those right away, but the Skywarp that was rumored to be a repaint of the Voyager-class Cybertron Starscream doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It could potentially still happen down the road, but it doesn't seem like Walmart is really interested in continuing with that. Which is a shame, because I like Cybertron. That was actually the series that I started off with Transformers. Anyways, let's go ahead and start off with the Age of the Primes line with these rumors. We've got the Age of the Primes Voyager class Swindle. So we already knew about this. Some people thought it was going to be a Deluxe. In fact, I'm pretty sure there was a previous listing that said it was going to be a Deluxe, but no, now it's going to be a Voyager, which does make sense considering that Brawl is also going to be a Voyager. I'm curious to see if it's going to scale with the Deluxe hype, but they need to bump up to a Voyager because maybe it comes with extra parts, or maybe the engineering just requires, more of that budget. But yes, we are going to get a Voyager class Swindle that is going to combine with the Combaticons. We've got Voyager class Vector Prime, which I'm kind of not surprised. Some people thought that we weren't going to get a Vector Prime, because I think there was also a rumor listing that said that he's already existed in Legacy, so there's no point. This one is probably going to be a package refresh and not just a complete new Vector Prime, considering that if you look at the side art for Age of the Primes, in fact, I've got them right here, you can see that Vector Prime is the exact same figure. It's the G-Axis remold. Anyways, moving on, we also have Jalopy. Now, I thought, at least I think that's how you pronounce it, Jalopy? I don't know. But anyways, this is going to be a repaint of the Studio Series 86 Jazz. It's going to be kind of given the blue streak treatment. It's going to have red and gray. It's going to be similar to that deco. And great, another Studio Series 86 Jazz redeco, because we cannot escape that. It is weird that they decided to go for this guy, but okay, I guess why not? Whoopsie doodle! I accidentally forgot about Transformers Deluxe class Joyride. If I were to guess, it's probably a repaint or a retool of the Legacy United version of Ruckus. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, moving on, we also have Deluxe class Tailgate, which does make sense. I believe we talked about the Windcharger previously, so of course to follow through with that, we're going to get Tailgate. I'm totally fine with that. I like Tailgate. I've got a whole bunch of versions of Tailgate in my collection. Definitely a lot of Windchargers in my collection, so Tailgate makes sense. Why not? Next up, we also have Pointblank is apparently coming back, which I guess it's fine, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the original Pointblank. I know some people don't like that figure. Hopefully they can re-engineer some stuff and it's not just a package refresh, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, next up, we also have a Deluxe class Fangry, which was in the 4-pack, I think, for Kingdom. So they decided to bring that in for the Deluxe mainline. I have no issues with that, and considering what they're doing with some of the other multi-pack characters, like the Hound figure apparently we're going to get as a single pack, and then the Prime Cliff Jumper we're going to get as a single pack, I don't mind. I mean, I missed out on the Fangry, so why not? Next up, we have a Leader class Armada Megatron. This seems to be a package refresh. Not much to talk about there. If you got the Leader class Armada Megatron, you basically have this. I'd be curious to see if they re-engineer some stuff, maybe add some Minicon ports, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Next up, we also have a Leader class Unicron Soldier. This could be based on something from Transformers Prime. It could just be some random throw-in Dark Energon character. What I would like to see is another one of those rock monster Transformers that we got at the last part of the Legacy line, remolded into some sort of Voyager or Leader class figure. maybe a multi-pack type thing. I don't know. We haven't gotten a repaint for Shard yet, so that'd be nice. But if it is the Unicron Soldier and it's based on something like the Transformers Prime series, that'd be nice. But I don't know, Unicron Soldier feels like it would be some sort of herald to Unicron. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyways, we also have a leader class Liege Maximo. We knew that we were getting Liege Maximo. I mean, we're getting all the Prime characters. And Liege Maximo, as a leader, I think that's pretty awesome. I'm curious to see exactly what it's going to transform into. And I want to see the big horns. Come on, give Liege Maximo the big horns and give him a big cape, because why not? And also color him green, a proper green this time. Moving on, we also have 2 listings for Commander class figures. The first one is likely going to come out in 2026. It just says Commander 1. This is likely going to be Onslaught, and then Commander 2 is up in the air. I can't really say for sure what this figure is going to be, but I'm kind of hoping that it's not a combiner figure. Next up, we have the Age of the Primes exclusives. We got a Retro Wheelie, so I'm curious to see if this is going to be the core class Wheelie or if they're going to make a brand new mold for Wheelie. And then we also have a Retro Outback, so I guess this is how they're going to produce Outback in the main line, because we already have the Brawn figure. So I was curious to see, okay, when are we getting Outback? This seems to be how. But if they're both going to be deluxes, yeah, that wheelie is very confusing, because we already have a wheelie. Is this going to be a brand new mold? I guess we'll have to wait and see. We also have a Selects Combiner. So if I were to guess, it's probably going to be either one of 3 things. It's either going to be Superion in G2 colors, it's either going to be the Combaticon, so Bruticus in G2 colors, or what I'm really hoping for is Ruination, because that would make the most sense, considering that we already have the Omega Prime coming in, we have Skybite coming in. It seems like we're getting a lot from Robots in Disguise, so why not do a Ruination? I mean, if you have the molds, let's bring in Ruination. Next up, we have a Timelines Optimus and Starscream. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, we already got that. That is the Hearts of Steel Optimus Prime and Starscream, and that doesn't seem to be the case because we also have a Timelines 4 listed, so that would be Timelines 3. Optimus and Starscream would be Timelines 1, so I guess this is an alternate or different version of the Optimus and Starscream. What I would love to see is maybe like a Nemesis Optimus, Nemesis Prime, and like a different Seeker down the road. I'm not talking about this listing in particular, I'm just saying that down the line that would be cool, but this is probably going to be inspired by some other comic line. Anyways, we also have Gen Sky. So it just says Sky. I'm kind of hoping that it's Skylynx, because I would like to see some sort of repaint. I want to see that mold reused for something. We also have SDCC-1, which is probably the Jetfire pack, the Void Rivals that we talked about. I could be wrong, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Age of the Prime Sentinel Artifact pack. So this is obviously going to include Sentinel Prime, but a bunch of different things. So I'd imagine it's going to include a bunch of different artifacts for the Prime characters. So maybe it'll come with a book for Alpha Trion, maybe it'll come with the key to Vector Sigma. I know we already got that, but we could get a new one. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but yes, we're getting an artifact pack. We are also getting something that's listed as a DTC Pro Pack. I'm not entirely sure what to make of that, but that's listed here. We have a Beast Wars Predacon multi-pack, and I love the Beast Wars characters in Generations, so to see that, I'm thrilled. I know that down the listings we have Lazorbeak, which is actually the figure that's based on Terrorsaur. It's not a direct repaint, I thought it was, but no. And so I'm kind of hoping that they use the Terrorsaur and make it into that. Maybe Fractal would be cool to see. But yeah, a bunch of potential repaints for Predacon figures. Yeah, why not? Anyways, moving on. This is the one that I'm really excited for with all the exclusives. Red Alert Minicon Pack. So this is obviously going to come with the supercharged version of the Red Alert. I mean, we kind of figured we already got the mold. I mean, here it is right there. Well, there's the box for it. So, getting Red Alert in the orange colors, I'm thrilled about that. I love those colors for Red Alert. But it says Minicon Pack. So, I imagine it's going to come with the long arm figure for Red Alert. But considering that it says Minicon Pack, kind of tells me that it's going to come with more than just one Minicon. I might be wrong about that, but I would love to see the Minicon that comes with Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Starscream and whatnot, because we're kind of missing those. I would like to see more Minicons in the line. Age of the Primes is also getting an Energon 4. I'm not too sure what to make out, but Energon 4 is listed here. It's part of the code name, so they're kind of keeping that secret. Studio Series, Titan. So some people might have seen this and thought, oh, we're getting Titan class in Studio Series, and I'm not going to say we're not, but what I think this is going to be is the Titan simple figures. So some of the figures that just kind of pose, you move the arms and whatnot, I think it's going to be something like that. We got those throughout the movie line, so maybe they're just going to repaint some of those and put that into Studio Series. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but for Studio Series, we're also getting the roleplay line, and I've completely forgot to switch it to Studio Series because that's what we're talking about now. But we're also getting roleplay, so I imagine this is going to be some masks, some sort of weapon, gear stuff, you know, you could play with, which, you know, I would be interested in, because considering that that means it would be inspired by the entire Studio Series line, there's a lot you can make with that. Especially with the Gamer Edition line, could you imagine some of the gear that you got in War for Cybertron you can actually get as a roleplay weapon? That would be really nice. We are getting a Studio Series Leader Class 86 Blitzwing, so I imagine it's going to be the same Blitzwing we've had previously. I'm curious to see if it will come with the gloves, or maybe they'll swap that out with something different, but I don't imagine this is going to be a remold. Maybe it's going to have a more classic deco, but yes, we're getting an 86 Blitzwing. We're also apparently getting a Leader Class TF7 Scourge. Now, this could be a repack of the Scourge that we already got, but considering what they did with the Bumblebee movie Deluxe Class Bumblebee, if I were to guess, this is probably going to be a refined version of the one that we already have. Considering that that was based on concept art, I think that they should do another version of Scourge, and yeah, I definitely am curious to see what they'll do to change it up. Voyager class, we're getting an 86 Cyclonus. This one I'm actually not surprised by, considering that we already have him in Kingdom. We have the, the Selects version of him. And hopefully it's basically like the Kingdom one, because that one is yellowing. And so I would like to replace that figure in particular. But we're also getting a Voyager class TF4 Optimus EV. So this is going to be based on the Evasion Mode Optimus Prime, the flat nose cab they got early on in Transformers Age of Extinction. Also considering that some people were upset that, oh, we're not getting live action stuff in the Transformers movies as often. Guess what? It seems like we're getting them more often. We're getting sprinkles of them, but there's a lot of other stuff that has been adapted into Studio Series, so I understand it. Anyways, moved on, we also have a Deluxe Class 86 Wheeljack. I'm kind of not surprised by that, but also I don't feel like we need it. I mean, we're getting the Devastation Wheeljack, we got the 5-pack Wheeljack. Do we need the 86 Wheeljack? No, that's going to shelf form like crazy. Deluxe Class TF4 Bumblebee. Now, I'm curious to see if this is going to be the high-octane Bumblebee, and I'm kind of hoping for that, but it also could be the later concept Camaro version of the Bumblebee, and I wouldn't mind seeing that either. I mean, I like the original toy, but it's definitely just a toy that I like for the sake of it being a toy, not for the sake of it being accurate. So I would like to see a more refined version of that Bumblebee. I mean, considering what they did with the Widowmaker, I think they could do fantastic with that. Next up, we're also getting a Deluxe Class TF1 Soundwave. So we're getting that character again. And, you know, for Studio Series, I think that is awesome. I'm curious to see exactly how that's going to transform. It seems like it's going to be something simple because it's a very blocky design. But I'm so glad that we're getting more TF1 stuff. We're also getting a Leader Class 86 Swoop, which is just going to be a repack of the 86 Swoop that we already have. Some people thought that the Snarl that was listed previously is going to be a brand new one, and no, they wouldn't do that. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a repack. And for Swoop, I think that's good because some people weren't able to find Swoop, so I think that just makes things easier. Now, this is where things get really confusing. We've got a Leader Class Comic Fort Maximus. So Fortress Maximus, he's got a comic design which looks really cool, but now they're integrating the comic line into Studio Series. Now, on the one hand, I'm glad that they're broadening Studio Series to bring in the comic stuff, because a lot of the comic stuff were being exclusives. Like, you had the Grimlock, you had the Straxus, you had the 2-pack, you had the Shockwave, and really those aren't as easy to get as some other figures, so this one is probably going to be a lot easier to purchase, but at the same time, now we're bringing comics into the line. I mean, it's already bloated with a whole bunch of stuff. Some people are asking for the rest of the live action stuff, and now you're bringing the comics into this. I don't know. But we are also getting a comic Soundwave as a leader class toy, so I imagine it's going to be a leader Soundwave with a bunch of his cassettes. I'm curious to see if it's going to be a repaint of the Soundwave that we currently have in Legacy United, or it's going to be that remold, supposed remold, or new mold that we're getting from the 86 line. But again, we're getting another Soundwave with a bunch of cassettes. It just kind of feels like we're rehashing the same thing. But I'm curious to see exactly what they'll do with it, especially considering it's the comic version of Soundwave. Maybe it's going to be the purple Soundwave. I would like to see that. Anyways, we're also getting a TF5 Hound, so it's going to transform into the Unimog, and I'm happy for that. I mean, I like my Hound figure. I think it's pretty cool, but I want to see some new gear to that, because the gear that they actually included was not featured in the movie. It was shown in concept art, but it wasn't in the film. So I want to see that version of Hound with new weapons, especially more accurate weapons, and a more refined Hound. I think that'd be pretty cool. We're also getting an Optimus 86 Sleep Mode. Now, this is going to be a leader class figure, so I imagine it's not going to come with the trailer, which makes sense to me. So it's basically going to come with the core Optimus Prime, the Matrix, but it's going to be the dead version of Optimus Prime. We're also apparently going to get a leader class TF5 Megatron, so the night version of Megatron, and I'm thrilled about that because I love that design for Megatron. It's very scary, very horrid, so I'm perfectly okay with that. Moving on, we also have an 86 Megatron, but this is going to be part of the anniversary line, so the 40th anniversary of the 1986 animated film. So I'm not really shocked by that, but I'm curious to see exactly what changes they'll do to the 86 Megatron. Maybe they'll come with that blaster piece they used to shoot Optimus Prime. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but yeah, apparently we're getting another one. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to Swapticons, because we have a couple of things for that. I don't have a logo for that right now, but we have Tarantulas with Arachnia, which I imagine is either going to be Black Arachnia or Arachnid. And I'm thrilled about that because it will combine to make a spider. Sure, why not? We have Terrorsaur with Lazorbeak, which is actually going to be the purple version of Terrorsaur, or at least based on that, even though they weren't technically repaints of each other in Beast Wars. So I think that combination is going to be pretty well. You know, you could definitely tell what that's going to go for. Scorponok and Double Punch, I feel like is going to be a repaint of the 5-pack Scorpions that we've been getting. So one of the Scorponoks we're going to get, and then we're also going to get a Double Punch. Maybe Double Punch will be the front of the figure. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We've got Rhinox and Backstop. So Rhinox, you know, we all know that from Beast Wars. Backstop is a character from Transformers Cybertron, I believe. And I love that because I actually wanted that original toy when I first got into Transformers. So yeah, I think that's a good combination, two Rhino guys. And then Ironhide and Ratchet, that does make sense. I feel like it's going to transform into a red van when it combines, and then Ratchet's just going to have white underneath. Because it's got to be one of two colors, and I feel like because it's Ratchet, he already has accents of red. You just slap white on the front of it, and that would make sense. Most of these are from Beast Wars. And, you know, you got Predacons and Maximals mixed in here. Anyways, moving on, we have CyberWorld, and we have a lot to talk about here. We've got a Deep Sea Explorer version of Soundwave, so this is probably going to be some sort of submarine. We've got an Ultimate Shockwave Dino. Now, when I heard that, I thought, okay, this is probably going to be a remold of the Grimlock that we already have, because that would make sense, you know? They can remold it however they want it to be. It's a kid line, so whatever. We also have an Ultimate Scourge, so it's going to be that kind of Galvatron-looking Scourge figure. And this is going to transform into a pirate ship. I am on board with that. A Transformer pirate ship with the sails, hopefully. That's going to be awesome. We also have an Ultimate Hound as a Yeti. So it'll transform into a Yeti? That is different, but okay. I'm curious to see about that. We also have an Armored Arachnid, so it seems like we're getting an armored line down the road for CyberWorld. And Arachnid's going to be part of that. We're also getting an Armored Ratchet and an Armored Megatron with a drill. So I'm curious to see exactly what they'll do with that. We also have CC, which I'm not sure what CC stands for. It's probably one of the classes. But we're getting a Cheetor. Okay, that's awesome. We're getting a Jazz. cool. We don't get enough Jazzes, except for the Studio Series 86 figure. We're getting a Lockdown. I'm thrilled about that. We can't get enough Lockdowns. We're getting a CyberWorld Multipack. We're getting a CC Primal Classic, so I imagine it's going to be kind of the retro Primal. It's probably not going to be like a specific, you know how they go into different realms and have different alt modes? This one's probably going to be the original Optimus Primal. We're also getting a BB Off-Road E. So Bumblebee in the off-road design. We've actually kind of seen a Bumblebee off-road figure, so I'm curious to see if this is just going to be a repack of that. We also have that for the Megatron Bull, so it's probably going to be a repack of that. We got the Optimus Prime Classic, which is the cab truck. We've got an Armored Arachnid Classic, so along with the Armored Arachnid, it seems like we're getting Armored Arachnid Classic. Very curious to see what the Classic means. We're also getting the Armored Bumblebee Classic and an Armored Optimus Prime Off-Road. So, yeah, that's going to be different. I know that some of the figures came with little weapons and gear, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what they're going for. With that out of the way, that has been a lot. This has been a 20-minute video. There's just so much to talk about. And with that out of the way, I thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and those fun doodads. And we'll see you guys next time.